Hi, I'm David Ferbata with Agribusiness Global. I'm here with Michael Ott, CEO of Rantizo. Rantizo has been a pioneer in precision application with UAVs. Michael, thanks for joining us, and how's it going so far this year?
It's been great. We are very, very busy trying to keep up with demand. We've got our drone spraying operations going in about a dozen states, and it's been a big challenge just keeping up with everything that's added on from coronavirus.
Yeah, so you just got your first approval about a year ago this month. So we're here in
Yep.
early July. We're talking about the evolution of your business. It's gone pretty fast in terms of.
It has. It has. Yeah. So last July, we were in, we got our FAA permit and then we got permitted in Iowa, which was great. And then we were in 5 states by the end of the year, just kind of going on reciprocity mostly, because when you're in one state, the contiguous states generally have reciprocity. So that worked out pretty well. And that was for one drone. We're excited to announce as of today, we are legally approved by the FAA to fly 3 drones at once. So that will obviously triple our productivity. And then we're in upwards of 15 states in terms of being permitted. And that's been a big challenge. The coronavirus really changed how the permitting process works, because a lot of times you just go to a room, sit with 20 people and take a test. Easy to do every year except for 2020. So a lot of times we had to be very creative. And then one of the things that I was happy with is that we actually found things that worked in some states and then talked to other states about them. So like California and Nebraska were early on getting remote testing done or testing in your car. And then we've talked to other states and kind of were able to share that information and help people get everyone involved with pesticide application going faster.
Now, this is the first agriculture approval for swarming, correct?
Yeah, so the thing that makes us different is Rantizo can be in the lower 48 states in a rural area with a minimal buffer to the field. Our buffer is the height of the drone. So if you're 6 feet above the ground, you can go up to 6 feet away from a person, which a road is defined as a person in FAA terminology. So we can go anywhere and do that, which is very beneficial. There's other agricultural swarming things that have been permitted, like some universities, like on a dedicated field, can do all sorts of research and everything else, but that's literally only on that one field. We can go to a field in Minnesota or Washington or Oklahoma and use our 3 drone swarm out there applying as needed.
Now, how is this going to change the amount of acreage, the amount of area you're able to get to and contract with? First of all, set a baseline for us.
Sure.
How many acres are you spraying today? And what do you see the potential of this kind of through the end of the year?
Yep. So we always quote at a 3 gallon per acre rate. So I use that rate so it's constant throughout. Obviously, if you decrease that or increase, you'll change your productivity a little bit. So we're currently doing 14 acres an hour with our upgrade kit, with the booms, everything else going out there. That's our current rate. So we can triple that with a swarm going from 14 to about 40. So that's 40 acres an hour is where we'll be with the current swarm. We're also rolling out new technology by the end of the fall called a mix and fill, where the drone can reload autonomously. That's going to get us around 60 acres an hour, 60. So we'll be pretty competitive with what most tractors will be covering by the end of the year, and doing that legally, with insurance, state permits, FAA permission, everything else all set up, ready to go.
Now, does that autonomous fill include the battery?
That is not yet. That
Okay.
we have a strategy for that fuel process as well. That's a manual changeover. So we're currently doing manual reloading, autonomous flight. We're going to get to autonomous flight, autonomous loading, and then autonomous power as well. Because ultimately, I'd like to be entirely autonomous in the field. So this is, just keep going through that process. You've got the autonomous drone, then you autonomously reload, then refill, then add more and more units. Like ultimately, I'd like to have 5, 10, 20 of these going in the field, so you can cover massive, massive amounts of territory.
And three, a swarm of three is obviously a big victory. What do you expect? What's the timetable you're looking at for adding to that 3-drone swarm?
It'd probably be another year. We had to put out a bunch of data and show that. And we're now at a stage where we've got about 20 contractors all over the US, and then they're going to have multiple drones. So the amount of data that we'll have will just increase in a multiplicative fashion. So then when you can triple that, they've got more drones to use. That's going to be a better way to do it. So we're just getting more and more data, and we can show, 3 is good, 5 will be better, 10 will be, increasingly productive from there. So it gets to a stage where you're out there flying, right after a rainstorm with no soil compaction, able to get into, hard to reach, precise areas. It's a fundamentally better way to do it.
And there's another reason to do it now with the disruptions we're facing. You talked a little bit about COVID. You talked a little bit about labor pressure that the industry is feeling. Are you seeing specific demand pointed at some of this labor uncertainty?
Oh, absolutely. The reason we set up Rantizo was to address the labor problem in agriculture. That was like from the core, very beginning. We talked to a bunch of ag retailers, and they said labor was their major issue. So I thought, okay, well, let's solve the problem that people have. And that was labor. So everything that comes out of the system is designed to use as little labor as possible. So that's where we've put this together. Also, operators get stuck in their head. If I've got a tractor doing 60 acres an hour, any replacement has to at least do that. So that's where our system now is going to be as productive as tractors at about a quarter of the cost. So like all in, 3 drones, a trailer, a mix and fill, everything else, $125,000. That's a quarter of what, a sprayer and 2 nurse trucks would cost. So that's a big thing on the cost side. And then also one person running it. Right now we've got a pilot. We do have a visual observer, which is important because you need an extra set of hands in the field, and then just to be able to watch all the drones that are going. So that's our current setup. But then reducing that, ultimately I want to be completely unmanned. Like in the long term, I'm hoping that the drones exist in the field, and then every month somebody comes by and reloads water, reloads chemicals, reloads whatever fuel source it is, and then the drones are just flying out to do what they need to do.
That's amazing. So tell me how this cost saving is realized. Is it the price of the service, the price of the mechanization? Is it because we're now at a stage where the autonomy is creating a variable rate that's using less chemistry? Is it a combination of all those things?
I was going to answer yes. The answer is yes. So the big savings come from the ability to spot spray. So, and we don't do so much variable rate as a binary on-off in the locations where the problem is. So think of an insect problem. A lot of times that's on the west side of a field because the insects are getting blown in and they get to the edge of that field and then they just start munching away on whatever it is. They don't get to the center that often. So a lot of times you can spray an insecticide on the westernmost third of a field. And that's fantastic. We can do that very easily. We can go right to where those pests are and spray them. You don't need all that insecticide on the far other side of the field that isn't affected. So you can save a bunch of chemical costs that way. Also, we don't, as I mentioned earlier, we don't have any soil compaction. As you're driving increasingly larger and heavier equipment slowly through the field, that's just pushing down on roots, pushing down the soil, stunting roots. Things are going to tip over more easily. It causes a lot of issues, and we fly right over it. We can also get out there right after a rainstorm. We had a good event two weeks ago. It was going to rain all weekend, and these guys wanted to get some cover crop seeds in. So like Thursday, Friday, we were just out there getting it done. We got most of it done, but we can fly in the rain. We can drop cover crop seeds in the rain. There's no issues there. So that's a great thing for us to go out and do. And then it's got a nice moist environment to get going and started right there. So there's a bunch of benefits, lower cost, less people required, ability to fly, and then reducing your chemical usage in both a cost and an environmental perspective are all big benefits.
Now, the biggest application of UAVs has been thus far the crop protection in the seed. Are you doing anything else? Do you see any other products to be applied by this methodology?
Sure. So we're doing sanitization as well. So with this, we got a call from a Major League Baseball team asking, can you spray our stadium? And like right away, we figured out, yeah, we can do that. Like it's an autonomous drone. It'll have terrain following. You can go straight up seats, just like you can go straight up a hill. That's fine. So then we figured out all the details around what you need to legally do that, what chemicals to use. I have a chemistry background, so I did that. Got all that squared away. And so we're now set with sanitization services that we can provide for stadiums, for state fairs, public parks, schools, warehouses, you name it. And our goal is to get people back into being able to go to events and things. We had a bunch of business booked, and essentially everything has been canceled. All the state fairs that we were talking to got canceled. Concert venues got canceled. Sporting events haven't really started up yet. So we're poised and ready for that. We've quoted to all the major sports organizations, and hopefully this fall, when football is going, we'll be able to sanitize, high school stadiums all the way up to pro stadiums. That's we're ready to do that, but we need to have the events before those can come through.
Yeah, a lot of sports fans hoping that works out.
Yeah, us too. I mean, the whole team here is like big sports people. It's agriculture people. Everybody likes sports, and talking about and there's no baseball, there's no football. We got to get back and be able to see what's going on.
So tell me what you see the demand of this. You're a year in on your approvals. You've already had a good victory with the swarming. You've got more area under management this year than last year. Tell me about some of the demands you're getting, what those conversations sound like, and where you see this heading into 2021.
Yeah, we can't keep up with demand. Our technology team is working furiously to be able to get everything out there that we want to. So we've tapped into a market. We've got to meet that market. That's a thing that we discovered early on. I made drone spraying services available through a platform just to see, well, would anybody care about this? And we had like 80 orders right away that we couldn't fulfill any of them. This is like last year before we had a network of contractors set up. Mm-hmm. So there's a big demand, and now we've got that nationwide network. We've got people in Oregon, California, all of the Midwest, going as far east as Pennsylvania. So we've got that all set up and ready to go, where we can actually start meeting the needs of people. And that's the exciting part for us, because we're doing 100 times more than we were last year, and it's just going to grow even more substantially towards the end of this year.
Michael, what else am I missing here? What else is either propelling business or an obstacle to growth?
Yeah, the coronavirus and permitting was a big hindrance. That's been mostly solved through working with the states. Logistics, just getting materials and things shipped and sent. That's been the thing that's slowing us down more than anything else. And I feel awful because we've got all this demand out there, but I need to get fittings sent. I need to get hoses here. I need to get all these different pieces, and then just shipping. That's been a really, really big challenge for us. And we're getting that mostly solved. Now we're just buying roughly 3 times more than we think we're going to need, just so we have it, so we can go as quickly as possible. So that's been our big challenge, and we're doing our best to meet it. But it's been busy times, and excited to get more operations out there.
Now that's logistics coming into the country at the ports, not necessarily around the US, correct?
No, it's both. Yeah, we had some things getting shipped in, some Chinese products, some other things that's been a challenge. Water tanks were just a mess getting in, like getting water tanks shipped in the right size and moving those around. That was, I thought it was going to be a 2 week thing at the beginning of May, and we just got them like last week. So it was a 2 month thing. So that was all internal to the US. So it's going both ways, and that's really been hitting our timelines. Like we're ready to go and deliver and get all these things, and then you're ready to deliver a trailer, but with 100 different components in it, and we need 3 fittings. So
Yeah.
that's the thing that's kind of holding us up. So it's been a challenge, and we've just been working through things with people as fast as they can. So for the most part, everyone's been pretty understanding. They know that this is an unusual time in terms of delivery and everything else.
Are some of these obstacles dissipating? And is this, how do you look at your supply chain now that you're experiencing some of this disruption?
Yeah, I mean, we're now just bulking up on everything that we need and that we think we need. Like, and I keep telling the team, if we need something, buy 3 of it, because I don't know when we're going to get the next one in. So that's been a mentality shift, and we were lightly funded, trying to just make everything work on a shoestring. And now that we've got some revenues coming in, we're able to do it in a smarter way, which you always want to do, but sometimes you just can't afford to do that.
Michael, congratulations on your swarming approval, and it was a pleasure to talk with you as always.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited to get multiple machines out there working and do this in a way that saves time, labor, and money for everyone else.
Learn more about trends affecting the entire crop input value chain at agribusinessglobal.com.